Well, I'm back, firing on all cylinders with another mind-blowing vlog, which is again going to lift the lid off the broken, inept, incompetent and incomprehensible family court. Today I am raising the debate: is the family court one big mummy appreciation and appeasement party? And guess what? No prizes. I am going to argue why I think it is. But before I do, I simply must run my excellent introduction. I am, of course, Phil Kedge, a retired police chief inspector, the director of the amazing McKenzie Friend UK network, and founder of the national campaign of #LightNotHate, and fearless family court vlogger. In all my vlogs, my views and opinions are entirely my own. And remember, you don't need to pay for lawyers in the family court. They can't get you what you want. There is no advantage to having a lawyer. But what they can do very well is to keep you scared, anxious and in conflict in order to transfer tens of thousands of pounds from your bank account into theirs. Now, this debate is based on the fact that the vast majority of resident parents are the mothers. And when the hundreds and hundreds of family court service users contact me at the McKenzie Friend UK network, it is a frequent topic of conversation as to whether the family court is biased in favour of mothers. Now, I think I would be in difficult waters if I stated that the family court was biased in favour of mothers, because I can't evidence it, and I don't like entering into debates where I could be on the back foot. However, as you will know from all of my previous vlogs, what I can say and have already rationally argued is that the family court can be easily manipulated to throw the non-resident parent, who are mostly fathers, under the family court bus to minimise, reduce, restrict and deny contact for months and months on end. Now, what happens if I reframe the argument from the family court is biased in favour of mothers to the family court appeases mothers? Well, in that case, I think that there is a clearer argument. Let me explain. I need to start off with some examples based on what I see with over a decade's worth of experience in the family courts and the hundreds of conversations I have with people like yourselves and the thousands of court documents that I read. Example number 1. Why is it that the court appears to hold absolutely little interest when domestic abuse is alleged by the non-resident parent against the resident parent? But when it's the other way around, my God, it's like a nightmare scenario from hell, where Cafcass and the courts appear to go out of their way to put the non-resident parents, the mostly fathers, to the sword. It's truly brutal out there. Just to be clear, I'm not talking about the 20% of cases where there are real victims of abhorrent domestic abuse that we all reasonably understand. I am talking about the 60% of cases where mudslinging accusations are made, based on perhaps unfortunate relationship incidents that I don't condone, but which judges from Planet Stupid are outrageously mismanaging under Practice Directions 12J, ordering potentially thousands of nonsensical fact-finding hearings that have no real necessity, proportionality, purpose or relevance to child contact, and where in mismanaging the spurious allegations, I am seeing reputations, relationships, lives and childhoods being institutionally destroyed. A second example is where the progression of contact is at the pace of the child. But of course, who determines the pace of the child? The mother, of course, while the fathers and their opinions are simply ignored, and where the wishes and feelings of the child, being represented by the mother, is jumped on by Cafcass to continue the long, drawn-out nightmare of trying to reinstate the relationship between child and father. Little Johnny is anxious. Little Johnny says he doesn't want to see Daddy. Little Johnny has attachment issues. Whilst at the same time, the mother proclaims, "I do everything that I can to encourage contact." Well, that's a total load of bollocks, but Cafcass seems to fall for it every time. And lastly, where Cafcass and the courts tiptoe around the poor self-reported anxieties of the resident parent mother, whilst relationships between the child and the father is being destroyed in plain sight. I have absolutely no doubt that the thousands of you as non-resident parents already understand and are experiencing or have experienced exactly what I am saying. So, where does this all stem from? Why am I confident in arguing that there is a systematic culture within Cafcass and the family court that sets out to appease the resident parent, who are mostly mothers? Well, it all stems from the child welfare checklists, which are a list of factors that a family court must consider when making any family court order in relation to a child. These are the only factors that a court can consider. I am going to put these factors up for about 10 seconds without me saying anything to let you glance over them. Now, these should in theory have equal weighting, but I believe that there is one factor that is commonly being overly relied upon to the detriment, not only to the other factors, but to the complete detriment of common sense. And that factor is number 2, the physical, emotional and educational needs of the child. Now, although it may be more straightforward to understand whether a parent can provide for a child's education and physical needs, it's the understanding of a child's emotional needs that is more complex, and what results in what many family court service users view as being institutionalised biased in favour of the resident parent. Let me explain in layperson terms. Given that the vast majority of resident parents are mothers, the ideology that I see Cafcass and the courts adopt is therefore this: a happy mum is a happy child. As the resident parent is mainly responsible for the day-to-day care of the child, if mummy is upset, if mummy is anxious, if mummy doesn't get her way, then her anxieties, fears, anger, animosity and increased hate towards the non-resident parent will filter down to the child and therefore cause harm to the emotional welfare of the child. So the thinking is appeasing the mummy and taking proceedings at mummy's pace makes mummy feel more valued, more in charge, more positive, where hopefully she will eventually, one day, possibly, move forward to actually bury the hatchet and parent together with the father in the best interests of the children. So, is that why when the mother stops contact and throws spurious allegations of mudslinging hate against the father, that judges are so keen to turn to fact-finding hearings where they can at least make some findings against the father to say that he is a domestic abuser and child abuser by once raising his voice in anger in order to appease the mother? Is that why the child's pace is in reality the mother's pace? Is that why when the mother states that she is doing everything to encourage contact, when clearly she isn't, they don't challenge her? When orders are breached, is that why they hardly ever take any meaningful action against mothers? Is that why when fathers make allegations of domestic abuse against mothers, they not only do everything possible to silence the fathers and ignore the allegations, but they often actually turn that against the fathers by accusing them of being the one raising conflict and not willing to positively co-parent? I think that I may have very well hit the nail on the head. So, of course, this now comes back to the biggest issue of all. Why and how the family court can be so easily manipulated. These resident parents, the mostly mothers, supported by the all too often sick in the head family lawyers who have absolutely no professional duty of care to any child, how disgraceful is that? Can simply create an environment and atmosphere that forces and manipulates Cafcass and the court into appeasing the mother in the best interests of the emotional welfare of the child, and in doing so, the father becomes a third-class, irrelevant parent. The irony here, of course, is that it is often the resident parent who is the one actually emotionally abusing the child. And from what I observe, the apparent solution adopted by the courts and Cafcass is to sanction, support and tolerate that abuse in the hope that it just stops. What a truly absurd, deranged and incomprehensible family court system we have. So that's me done, and please enter the debate by leaving your comments below. Now, for all of your family court solutions based needs, or if you would like a one-to-one case review with myself on any aspect of your child arrangements case, or if you are interested in becoming a McKenzie friend, then simply go to contactphil.co.uk right now. Until next time, stay strong.